Hi, friends. Today we're going to start by warming up our brains. Are you ready to warm up our brains? Okay. Well, my mom bought me these super cute panda note cards, and I thought, whew, this could be fun to use for math. And in math, we've been making tens. So what if we play a making 10 matching game using these panda note cards? Wouldn't that be so much fun? That's what I thought. Okay, so I'm going to go write down a whole bunch of numbers. There we go. And let's see if we can make a 10. So if we started with this 9, what other card would be the matching to 9 to make a 10 if we were to add it to 9? Yeah, go ahead and shout it out. Perfect, 1. Because I know 9 plus 1 equals 10. Good job. Ooh, what if I use this 5? What would be the match to that 5 to make a 10? Wow, you yelled that so quickly. Yeah, the other 5, right? Because we know 5 plus 5 equals 10. Okay, last match. What if I have this 2? What number would I need to add to 2 to make a 10? Ding, 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 ding. Totally right. 8. Because I know 2 plus 8 equals 10. Wow, friends, I think our brains are warmed up because we've been making 10 so very quickly and so well with our matching cards. This is perfect. Our learning goal for today is actually all about making a 10. It says, I can make a 10 when 8 or 9 is an add-in. And friends, this learning goal should sound familiar. We've been doing that exact same thing. But today, there's a little baby change. Are you ready to hear about it? Well, see, we've been reading number sentences where whatever we're going to make a 10 with has been the first number. So 9 or 8 has been the first add-in, just like it is here. And as soon as we see that add-in of 8 or 9, our brains start going off saying, hey, you can use that to make a 10. But today we're going to talk about how it doesn't really matter where that 9 or 8 shows up in a number sentence. We can use it in any spots to help make a 10. So, like in this number sentence, we have 6 plus 9. And as you'll notice, the 9 is the second add-in. And our brains can go ahead and as soon as we see that 9, it can start sounding the alarm. Ding, 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 ding. No matter where the 9 is in the number sentence, we can always use that to make a 10. So, as you can see, between these two number sentences, it does not matter where that 9 is. We can always use it to help us make a 10. Okay? So let's go ahead and try that. Can you go ahead and get a dry erase board and a marker? Because we're going to solve this number sentence together and make a 10 using that 9. So let's do that together. Go ahead and press pause, grab a dry erase board and a marker, or grab a piece of paper and a pencil, and then press play when you're ready. Okay, you all set? All right, excellent. Now we know to make a 9 using some of that 6. What are we going to have to do to that 6, friends? Yeah, we're going to have to break it apart. We're going to have to decompose that 6. Exactly. So let's go ahead and we're going to use a picture to show how we're going to decompose today. So I want you to press pause. Can you draw a quick picture of the 6 and then also a quick picture of the 9? And then press play when you're ready and we're going to compare your pictures to mine. Okay, did you draw your quick pictures? All right, so first we started with our 6 and then we also drew a quick picture of that 9 because we're going to be adding those two numbers together. Now, friends, what do you notice about my pictures? Yes, they're very neat and organized and tidy, right? You know, I love to keep things organized. It just helps it to very clearly represent what we're doing if we're organized. So if you're looking at your picture and it's kind of sloppy boppy, no big deal. Go ahead and press pause. Just give yourself an upgrade and get organized, then press play when you're ready. Okay. Now, you also might notice that my 6 is circles not colored in, and my 9 is circles colored in. Now, you don't have to have it like that. I just did that to help keep myself organized to show that they're two different numbers. But it's up to you, friends. Okay, now, so far when we've been making a 10, we've been doing one gigantic circle. But I wanted to show you today different ways we can adjust or show the change in our drawing to show how we're making a 10 that might not be one big old circle. Okay, so if I have that 9 and I want to make a 10, how many more circles do I need to add to that 9 in order to make a 10? That's exactly right. I need 1 because 9 plus 1 equals 6. So in my picture, I could do one big loopy circle to show me taking 1 from that 6, or I could do something like this. I could just circle the one that I wanted to take from that 6 that I'm going to break apart, and I could draw a really long arrow to show I'm going to move it over there. Okay? So if anyone were to walk by, could you clearly see the change that I made? Yeah, you could totally do it like that. Can you go ahead and try that on your dry erase board or your piece of paper? Can you go ahead and circle that 1 from the 6 and then just show a long arrow pointing to where it would go over in my 9 group? Perfect. Okay, good job, friends. I know it seems weird when we, or not weird, but a little strange, a little odd when we do something different to our pictures. But, I want to show you different ways that you can show a change in your picture that might be more comfortable for you. Okay, so we have made our change, we made our 10, so now we have to rewrite our number sentence. So, what number is left over in that 6 after we took out 1? Yes, there's 5 left. So let's go ahead and start our number sentence with 5. Go ahead and write it down. And now what's the rest of our number sentence? 5 plus what? Ooh, good job. 5 plus the 10 that we made. And that's going to equal what? Go ahead and write your answer. Finish that number sentence. All right, what was it? Yes, 15. Because I know I could say 10 and then count up 5. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Perfect. So at the very tip top where it said 6 plus 9 equals what? What did we find the answer to be? Yeah, 15. We just knew that we adjusted it to make our 10 to help us solve that problem. Excellent job, friends. Okay, let's go ahead and try another one. Go ahead and erase your dry erase board or find a new spot on your piece of paper. Now remember, our learning goal said that we're also going to use 8 to make a 10. So let's try this number sentence. Okay, 4 plus 8 equals something. Okay, can you go ahead and write that on your dry erase board or in a clean new spot on your piece of paper? Okay, just like last time, we're going to go ahead and show how we can make a 10, and we're going to use a picture to do it. So I want you to go ahead and press pause, draw a quick picture of the 4, and then a quick picture of the 8, and then press play to compare it to what I did. Okay, ready, friends? Okay, so did you draw your good pictures? Excellent. So I drew a quick picture of 4 and then a quick picture of 8. Excellent. Now, before I do anything else, I want you to press pause, talk with a buddy. How could you make that 8 into a 10? What could you do? Don't do any changes in your picture yet, but what could you do? Press pause, talk with a buddy, and then press play when you're ready. Okay, did you make a plan? All right, well, we know if we have 8, how many more do we need to add? Yeah, we need to add 2. So what was your plan? What were you going to do? Oh, I like that strategy. Yeah, totally. Can I show you something you could also do to show a change in your picture? All right, so I know I need to add 2 to my 8. So what I could do is I could show that I would need to get 2. So I'm going to put X's this time. 1, 2. And if I put 2 X's right there, that means I'm taking 2 away from that 4 to make my 8. So if I'm putting X's to show that change, I need to show where I'm Xing, what I'm Xing out, right? So over in the 4, I can go ahead and just cross out 2. Okay, so I just moved the 2 that I crossed out over there over into my 8 pack. All right, so that is another way I could show a change of making 10 in my picture. Now, again, this is just another strategy you could use for changing your picture. You could also just do a big old circle like we've been doing before. You could circle the 2 and draw an arrow over. So many options, but I like to show you different choices. Because remember, when we do math, we're in charge. So we want to find strategies that work really well for us. And since we're all different, we might have different strategies that work better for one person versus the other. So this is another option you can do to show the change of making a 10 in your picture. Okay, so I want you in your picture right now to show the change just like I did. And then after you've done that, I want you to go ahead and try to write a new number sentence to match the change that we made. Okay, so show the change using the X's, and then I want you to write a new number sentence to show what numbers are left over after we decompose the 4 to make a 10 with that 8. Okay, press pause while you do that. Press play when you're ready. Okay, now, did you show the change in your picture? Well done, friends. Now, what number sentence did you come up with? Well, to start, I looked at that 4, and how many do we have left over there? Yeah, we have 2. So that's how I started my number sentence. 2 plus, what are we adding it to? Yes, exactly. That 10, that 10 that we made, right? And then what is 2 plus 10? What does that equal? Perfect job. Yeah, that equals 12. So 4 plus 8 also equals what? Yep, it also equals 12. We can go ahead and put that up there. Excellent job, friends. Well, you are doing a great job in making a 10 with 8 and 9. I love it. All right, let's try another one. Can you go ahead and erase your board? Find a new spot on your piece of paper if you need to. All right, now I don't want you to write anything just yet. I'm just going to show you something, okay? So if I have the number sentence 5 plus 8 equals, and see, I already drew a quick picture of the 5 and a quick picture of the 8. I want you to press pause. How could you make a 10 using 5 and 8? What could you do? Press pause. Tell your buddy. Okay, did you talk with your buddy? Okay, maybe you looked at that 8 and you thought, oh, I could take 2 from that 5, make a big old circle, and show that I made a 10 that way, right? Yeah, that strategy totally works. But can you think back to our panda note card matching game that we did? We know that we can also use that 5. And I know today's goal is to make a 10 when there's an 8 and a 9 and an addend. But guess what, friends? I can't help but see in my good brain that there's another way we can make a 10. Oof. Because when I see 5 as an addend, ooh, I want to make a 10 using that 5 so bad. Is there a way that we can decompose that 8 to pull out a 5 group? Oh, yes, friends. We could use that 5 and part of the 8. Oh, do you see how I made a quick 10? Yes. See, when we are using 8 and 9 to make a 10, we also don't want to forget that we have other strategies, other things we could do too. So we could use part of that 8 to make a 10 with that 5, right? Using some of that 5 group. And then if we use 5 plus 5 from the 8, that makes a 10. And then how many more do we need to add, friends? Yeah, the 3 that's left over from that 8, right? And then what is our answer now? Perfect. It is 13. 10, 11, 12, 13. 13, perfect. So then I know 5 plus 8 equals 13. Okay, so I know that this part probably blew your mind, but there is an 8. We still made a 10 using part of the 8. We just had that other 5 group, and it just seemed like what a beautiful way to make a 5. To make a 10 when we have another 5. All right, well, you know what? Our learning goal for today says I can make a 10 when 8 or 9 is an addend, and that's exactly what we worked on. Usually, for the most part, we were taking the 8 or the 9 and we're decomposing the other addend to help make a 10. But sometimes, like in that last number sentence, we could decompose the 8 and also pull out some of the 8 to make a 10 as well. Remember, when you do math, you're in charge. So you want to use the strategies and skills that make you comfortable and make you feel successful when you're doing the problem. Okay? All right, so have fun making 10 when the addend is 8 or 9, and I'll see you next time. Bye, friends.